So this is quite an important subject. I don't know if it can hold anyone's attention for long, but you should be interested. So when we stop ULEZ people, or even, whatever it is, whether it's, Republic, if you're doing anything for Republic, or any other campaign like that, we aren't supposed to pay tax. So, I've seen quite a few people selling Stop ULEZ stickers, and, I don't know whether they're profits, they're keeping them themselves, but if the money is going to, just make more stickers and promote the campaign, or if you're donating it, for example, like to that Noel's legal case, that's a donation, or on behalf of the people, doing it on behalf of the people to claim their fines back. It's like a group litigation case on behalf of the public, because it's the public that are getting fined. Also, in newspaper adverts as well. The thing is, there's a lot of rallies going on, but people should be putting adverts in the newspaper as well. And we should be getting them for cheaper, because, the newspaper keep claiming that, claim the tax back afterwards, but that's not actually how you're supposed to do it. Because firstly, you're printing and manufacturing, making, and if you see in the blue there, I've highlighted the word make, they're making something that is zero tax rated, particularly if it's, Stop ULEZ advert or something. And if they make you pay the tax and claim it back after, they're actually obstructing your access to the product, because you might not be able to afford it. What if you haven't got enough money? If you aren't legally entitled to pay tax, or don't have to, if you're not legally required to pay tax, then you have a right to an access to that for that price. And if they're making you pay more, then it's an obstruction. And the thing with the newspapers is, a lot of these newspapers are like Tory or Labour. I've argued legal arguments and won with them of right to publish, because if it's with the use of an enactment, which it is, like the right to petition and so forth, you've got a right to publish in the advertisement section, because, like local councils have got a legal requirement to, put road closures and so forth. It's secured in law through the use of the enactment, even through private companies. And this is when we get onto arguments with YouTube and Facebook and so forth, constitutionally protected speech. So I've actually won legal arguments with a newspaper when they said they didn't want to publish it, because if it's Boris Johnson's pals and a Tory newspaper, they won't like you putting, they will like you putting Stop ULEZ in there currently, because the Tories are opposing Labour with ULEZ, so they like that. But the thing is, the price of the adverts should be without tax, and people could, help and afford to do that. It's a lot cheaper than, and less hassle than getting flyers printed up and so forth. That's one thing. But also all the stickers, if you get stickers made and printed, even when you buy them on eBay, get them printed through eBay sellers, it's a lot harder to get the tax reduced through eBay selling, because it's like the big platforms haven't been made to provide for it, really. But when you are buying something from any company or online, you should get a code, really, to enter into the website. They do discount codes anyway, but it shouldn't be a normal discount off the price of it. It should be actually taking the tax off, because you can get a discount. Some companies offer 20% discount, if they've got an offer on. Say, they might have a December offer of 20% off, but then that's separate from if you shouldn't have to pay tax as well. So, if they are doing an offer of their offer, which is just, a production offer, then you get the tax in addition. So you really are getting the price down. And the thing is, it's the last thing that the government, particularly Tory and Labour, want you to get for cheap, because you're actually opposing them with these things. And that is it's the most powerful thing you can get printed or published, or, T-shirts or whatever, because that actually is You are opposing them and you are battling against them, and you're doing it for a lot cheaper. And these people usually keep taxes up and prices high, so we can't afford to. We're too distracted with television or so forth. Now, it actually tells you how it's supposed to be done. It is the tax. If any of the companies that you speak to say, "Oh, we don't know how to do it," I've had this argument with Metro newspaper, and they should know how to do it. They know all about the publishing laws and rights, because I've challenged them over publishing laws and publishing rights, and I've been right, and I've got it published when they said they didn't want to publish it. So even though most recently they put it in the wrong newspaper, because I said I wanted it in the London Evening Standard and it went in the Metro. So, I mean, there's another argument. But the argument over the tax, they are when you print a newspaper, when you create a print, when it is for a political campaign or a charity, you're creating a zero tax item. You're manufacturing a zero tax item. And that goes for the same getting something printed on eBay or any other service. I mean, there's websites like Fiverr and things like that where you can get things done, whether it's like an audio recording for an audio advert, if you wanted it on the radio, I guess, or something like that. So the way it's done is the tax percentage is put to 0%. And, this is quite common, though, because the things like books, Bibles, magazines of different taxation percentage. So actually, when they're selling certain things and when they're doing certain things, there are different taxes on different products all set. So it's still taxed, but with a different number. Now, what you're doing when you get something like, Stop ULEZ stickers, you're creating a tax exempt item. There are some things that you claim tax back for when it's done differently. If you think of something like, a walking stick or a disability scooter or something, some disability items are automatically set at 0% tax because you wouldn't buy it, or it wouldn't really be bought by someone who didn't have a disability. But, right, there are, with the disability, it's all about the person. Is the person disabled or not, right? Now, the thing is, with a walking stick, you might buy a walking stick and you might just be using it, to move trees and shrubbery out of the way when you're walking through the countryside, right? You might not be disabled. And so the thing is, how I've seen it done before, and I've actually done this because when I've worked for a company and I've collected these forms, people obtain a form and fill it in to say that they've got a disability and they don't have to pay tax, right? But that's when they themselves are claiming something to do with them, their person, right? And the manufacturer those items might not be zero rated tax items. It's the person who's got a disability and they're buying it with a disability allowance. And it could be like, say like a sofa that, lifts, like one of those sofas when you lay back and lift your feet up or something like that, if they've got a disability or something like that, if the doctor is, told them, to get able to help them out or whatever. But someone could buy it who hasn't got a disability. But the thing is, so you fill in forms for all that, right? Because you're making in that instance, you're making a disability claim, right? But when it's for Stop ULEZ, or if you put an advert in the newspaper for Stop ULEZ, the thing is, right, when the person buys the newspaper, right, it doesn't matter who buys the newspaper. When that newspaper is printed, every single charity advert is there to advertise charities. That charity, no matter who has hold of the newspaper, it's promoting the charity and it's advertising the charity, and the same for political campaign, right? So it don't matter who buys the newspaper or who's got hold of the newspaper, because that is created for that purpose to advertise that campaign. I mean, you can use a newspaper to put on the fire if you want, or you can, use it to, insulate your shed. But it's printed on pages with other newspapers. That's not the point. The point is that, it doesn't. It's not the person. It's the object, right? Now, when you're getting things created for political campaigns, that is its purpose. The most of these products are considered perishables, I mean, like, stickers, adverts, car bumper stickers, they are there to promote a campaign and help someone get elected or help a cause get actioned in Parliament, right? If there is any value at a later time, like collectors or whatever, I mean, that's different, because at the end of the day, who's you don't see the Tories auctioning off vintage, conservative adverts. You don't see many. I mean, there probably are people who collect vintage political adverts. I mean, I don't know if there's been any on the Antiques Roadshow, but you don't see the Tories. You hear them talking more about artwork, in art museums and galleries. Maybe the Tories do have like a vintage Tory advert collection somewhere, and it's worth, the first ever Conservative advert recorded, or the first ever Royalist Party advert ever recorded might be worth some money. But generally, these things aren't sought after, and people, I don't really think many people are dealing with them, and no one else would want them except Tories anyway. I mean, who would want a vintage Conservative Party electoral image, other than if it's, one of, Ed Miliband in the top pocket of Alex Salmon, because you want to prove that they can do that they can, defame Miliband. It's more valuable as evidence in a legal case to prove that you can do what you want in the advert, and they have done, rather than selling it because it's worth something, But that you're getting into, it's beyond the scope of it, When you create those items, and while they're in use for that period at least, when you get access to it, it is zero tax rated. Possibly actually, at a later stage in the future, if it ends up in an auction house, maybe it's not tax, maybe you do pay tax on it then, but not at the time when the person who's getting it to use it for a campaign, or it's being circulated in the newspapers, that's for sure. So it's put through at 0%. The person making it and selling it adjusts the tax to 0% through recognition. This is a political item. It's almost like, saying this is a Bible. How do you know? Well, because it's a Bible and it tells you will set it to this percentage. Because it on the merit that otherwise you might as well just have like a pack of cigarettes, and it's not cigarettes. What is it then? It's like trying to say a pack of cigarettes is a book when it's not. A pack of cigarettes isn't a book; it's a pack of cigarettes on merit of because of fact. There's no documentation you need. If it is political material, it's someone has to look at it and agree and concur. Yes, this is for advertising a political campaign. So I mean, I don't know who is bothering to do this. I don't think many people are bothering to do it. This is the thing. And there's all these Stop ULEZ banners and flyers and, posters. Really, you could be pushing it and claiming back travel costs. I'm starting to think that, that Matt Houston guy who's, getting sponsored by the public, I'm starting to think that if you're going around promoting Stop ULEZ and volunteering, if you get one of those congestion charges, I don't think that you should have to pay it, or the ULEZ zone charge. If you've got Stop ULEZ flyer, you shouldn't have to cover. Some of the ULEZ people have been thinking, should we cover his license plate up? But the thing is, If you are using the vehicle to promote the Stop ULEZ campaign and oppose Khan, if you put, vote Khan out in your car windows, so you're promoting to vote Khan out while you're driving round, and if you also put stickers all over the car, so it's permanently, Stop ULEZ and it's an active campaign, I don't think that I don't think that you get the ULEZ charge zone. I don't think you have to. I don't think it needs to go as far as covering your number plate up. So this is it. That's like max. This is taking it to the maximum. But for a start, I mean, I started a campaign in 2013 and I've never claimed any tax back. I've got tax exemption when I've been sending abroad and receiving abroad when it's done properly. On one occasion it wasn't, and the customs wouldn't give me they wouldn't let me have the money back, the VAT money. And I don't know why they were arguing because it was plainly obvious, but I now know that it's Class F advertisements in any form whatsoever and any materials. So, I'm going to get that back, but, you see, political parties are ongoing long-term entities and they get a number like a charity number and so forth. But when we're only doing temporary campaigns, you usually don't spend that much. And I think the government consider it like, what's the point claiming it back? They don't think each person's spending much. So most people don't bother. But you should do. When you amount of all the people that are involved and they're doing it as a group of people, then you're looking at, quite a bit of tax money. But they haven't really, I don't think the government have got a proper process and procedure in place. This is why we need someone like Martin Lewis, money saving expert, to write a form. And to be honest, I don't really want to have to go through every single, the whole entire eBay things and have to go like, this was for it, that was for it, that wasn't. I mean, there's not, I don't have a problem being honest about it. That's, but it's having to go through them all, particularly 10 years worth. And then, there's the websites, costs, and Fiverr site if you've got services. There's a lot to go through. But the thing is, you don't have to give the receipts to the government if it's under a certain amount. But you should have been claiming tax exemption on it. You don't have, if it in America, right? If you're doing a small or medium campaign and it's not a political party and it's it's just like a temporary thing. If it's under $5,000, you don't have to give any receipts to the government, and in between $5,000 up to something like $15,000 or whatever, you don't have to register as a political party. The thing is, if you knew what you were doing and you tell every time you buy something, you say, look, this is zero tax rated, I want you to do it properly, right? You could do that, right, and not really have to tell the government every time you do it. If it's in America, if it's under $5,000 a year, right? You don't even have to tell the government when you can get it taxed. You should be getting tax zero rated on it anyway. Now the thing is, if it's over $5,000 a year, this is in America, right? Then you have to file with the government and so forth and let them know what you're up to and so forth, right? But that doesn't mean to say that you can't claim the tax back that you're owed if it was under $5,000 a year, right? The thing is, if you don't have to give the government receipts, if it's under $5,000 a year, this is on the American system, right? If you don't have to legally tell the government, show them your receipts if it's under $5,000 a year, right? You are entitled to not have paid tax on it, but not have had to itemise everything to the government, right? So if you sort of like want to claim some money back, but you don't want to claim all of it back, you could put in. I'm starting to think you could put in a net claim and say, look, I don't have to show you all my receipts, but I'm claiming that. I've spent a lot, and I'm going to claim that back. It's £5,000. Each year. I've spent up to the threshold of £5,000 a year. I want that back. I don't have to show you the receipts. But you would you would have to you'd have to prove to them that you've spent that much, you know. And they might want to know if you've spent over that amount. You know, they might want to see the receipts. You know, so that's why I think that you could say, you know, well, I'm claiming that 5,000. You know, I think if you claim the 5,000, and say I'm not claiming any more than that, then I don't think you will be able to again. But if you you know, if you haven't, you've got to have some sort of evidence, I suppose, that you've spent something, you've been doing something. I suppose the thing is, if you're claiming it to the government at a later stage, then they're probably going to see the evidence, right, of you doing something up to that amount. But if you would have claimed it in the first place, zero rated tax item, when you buy it, then it doesn't matter about the government, because you got the tax reduced, and, you know, they can go jump. This is the thing. Companies and businesses aren't being properly instructed how to do it. What really got me is that the Metro claimed that they didn't know how to do it, which I think was a blatant lie. You can't tell me that, you know, newspapers where Boris Johnson works there and they're interviewing politicians all the time, and, you know, it's the place where you're most likely to find a Lib Dem advert or a Tory advert or charities advertising. You can't tell me that newspaper department doesn't know how to do the tax on political and charitable materials. They're lying. That is a fraudulent statement. It's a false account. That's a crime, right? Forcing you to pay the tax beforehand, if otherwise, you know, you might not be able to afford it, or, you know, it's pushing your funds, right? You're entitled to access that product, that manufacture that service or goods for that zero rated price, right? And then there's no need to claim it back afterwards. Forcing you to do it the other way is reducing accessibility, and it could even be illegal obstruction. I'd like to see criminal charges for false accounting. If it's sticker places, right? They do charity ones, but not often. I can't see how sticker places haven't encountered charities, but usually they give a charity number. And the way they do it, there are different ways to do it. Like I've said, you know, you can claim back from the government after. Charities have a charity number, right? And they can give a charity number, but that exempts them as an entity. Oh, we don't have to pay tax as an entity. It's not actually tax rating the item, like a pack of cigarettes or a Bible, right? And when you're printing up political materials and so forth, which are for non-profit and they're there to promote a campaign, you're giving them away for free, or, you know, handing them out, or you're going to stick them somewhere and then they're going to be chucked in the bin or whatever, or weather away or wash away or whatever, then, you know, you should not be charged it in the first instance. At the sales point, when they, you know, do the tax, and there's some question to say that whether or not also all of the, you know, there's some question around all the materials, you know, what they got their ink in. They can take the tax money off for that ink and they can claim that back. You know, it could dramatically reduce the cost of the item itself, because if the item ends up being for this certain purpose, then really the manufacturer can say, well, you know, that ink, you know, that I bought, a certain percentage, how much ink did you use? But they've got all their costs worked out. Most manufacturers have the price of the item when they sell it, they've actually worked out all the costs for it. Every item has been cost itemized, and then, you know, how much, you know, work did it, because some people used to be on piecework and stuff like that, you know, how much labor went into it and so forth like that. So not only how much, you know, tax they're charging on top of it, all of the supplies that went into the item could possibly be reduced as well. So you could be looking at something like half price, at least, you know. Or if the company does a discount, some companies are doing special offers like 10% off for 2 weeks, or we've got an offer on this month, 20% off. If you buy it when they've got an offer on and you get the tax reduced, you're really going to get a very, very good deal. And you could get the thing is, you're going to get a lot more volume number. Like, whereas you might only be able to have 50 or 100 stickers, you might get 500 or 1,000, which is going to go a lot further and a longer way. The political parties will detest this idea and hate it because, particularly when you're opposing them, it's almost like them disarming you or taking your toy off you or taking your weapon off you or even your defence away, because they don't want you to beat them. And this is why they don't really... I don't think government play fair. The petitions committee at the moment don't play fair. They've been obstructing and blocking hellfire with, 15-minute city petitions and so forth to try and stop the government. They don't play right. And this is why Stop ULEZ is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to, corrupt governments. This is why we need Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in to, straighten the governments out. So this is important because why? Because people should not be paying as much for their banners and signs and materials, and if they do, they should be getting a hell of a lot more, volume for how much they're paying. And you shouldn't have to go claim it back from the government after. You should get it in the first place. I don't think most people will spend anywhere near £5,000 a year on campaigns, but you can if you wanted to, right? And another thing about that is this. A lot of these companies, at the end of the year, they have money that they want to get rid of so they don't get taxed on that. And a lot of them just chuck it at Terry. They used to throw it at Terry Wogan, they used to throw it at BBC Children in Need, with the big cuddly teddy bear with one eye out, What happens if you want to give it to Stop ULEZ, and buy some dinosaur costumes for them or whatever? All these companies and businesses were allowed to, evade paying tax by just chucking it at Terry Wogan, to charity or whatever. The thing is that if you have got, a certain amount of income, or even if you're on the dole or something, and Rishi Sunak wants to reduce the dole, right? If you wanted to pledge, you could give all your dole money away to charity if you want. You could use it all on the National Lottery, or you could just give it all to a charity, pledge that money because you want to, and then you haven't got any money. All your money's accounted for to charity. So then you're allowed, to have more income coming in without that being, accounting towards it. You could if you wanted to, just give it all to political campaigns. If you wanted to give all your dole money to the Labour Party as a donation, all of it, you actually could do. And then you could have money coming in from, friends or relatives to support you that wouldn't, be taxable gifts, because I don't think there's anything stopping them from doing that, because you're entitled to the money. And if you wanted to give it all to the Labour Party or to the Tories, right, that's just the same as a company or business saying, oh, right, we're going to get taxed on this money if we don't give it to Terry Wogan or whatever, although Terry Wogan's dead now, passed away, but this is an example. Really, Rishi Sunak, if every single person on the dole gave their money to the Tories, if some mad, kind of like fog came over them and they felt compelled to give it all to the Tories, they actually could do that if they voluntarily wanted to. And then still have money, I think, from their relatives to look after them. No one in their right mind would do that, I don't think. And if everyone in the country did it, it would probably take the mick out of these big Tory donors who are giving $5 million. But then again, there's a lot of donors from these non-profits that don't have to declare where their money comes from. And they're allowed to use some of it towards help political parties out. But that's what we're doing. They don't really want any political parties or other causes, to be honest. They're annoying, but we've got the right to them. That's the thing. So, I'd like to see some sort of, I'd like to see Money Saving Expert get some sort of template form together for people to claim back, for political banners and materials and signs, stickers, T-shirts and so forth. I don't know whether you would have to attach all your receipts to it or not, but I think that there could be a very simple form, and basically you just staple printouts of, what you've spent, and fill it in with your name and address and what cause it was and what department it's to send. Well, if they set out what department it's to, and all the required legislation and so forth, statement of truth, and sign it. I think that would help out, because then I think people would be compelled to go through all the receipts and print out and say, like if you've got on eBay, like these stickers and, this paper and those pens and so forth and so forth. I mean, obviously, don't want to be claiming back for things that you didn't use for the campaign, you just bought yourself a new sweater or a new pair of trainers, unless, this is when you get to, this is the art of Boris Johnson and the art of Rishi Sunak. This is where you get these professional experts, because this is when you get into the fact that, where you're going around knocking on doors, asking people, to sign. And if you were, you need some shoes. Now, if you've already got your own shoes, you can use those. But if you wanted to buy a pair of shoes to do that, you could do that. You could declare it. If you bought a special pair of walking shoes so you could go out knocking doors. I mean, policemen put claims in for their uniforms, right? But I'm not that interested in taking it that far. What I am interested in is the fact that, I've spent quite a lot of money on campaigns and given quite a lot of money to charities as well. So, I want to see, some of that money, firstly, you could make a lot more things and promote a lot more campaigns. It should go further. You should get more for your money. You could get more stickers, you can get more posters, you can get more banners, flyers, you can, this is the thing. So I'm a bit disappointed that Money Saving Expert, now there's a lot of campaigns out there, hasn't done something for it, Although I am being a money saving expert right